Good afternoon. I wanted to show you something really cool. I went and got some of that stuff for the baskets for their bird feeder. And it's actually called cake. It's called birdseed cake. And so they love it. They love it. And I haven't seen one dove. So it's working. And I'm just so happy because they finally get to enjoy their food in peace. And you can hear them chirping. I love it. I love it out here. That's why I brought our book out here today, The Way of the Warrior. So we're going to read a little bit of this today outside. And I texted my husband because he's taking a nap right now. And I said, I'm making a video outside. So if you come out, please don't interrupt, because normally he would open the door. What are you doing? He's really loud. He's just that way. He's Italian. And everything he does is loud. Everything. He can't do anything quiet. He even whispers loud. So I told him, I said, if you get up, just know I'm making a video out in the gazebo. So just be mindful. So yesterday we started code 5 in our book. And we're reading about how the warrior owns their defeat. And so I highlighted just a few things, not a whole bunch of stuff like last time, because I don't want to take up so much time. So what I did highlight, though, is I highlighted to fear defeat is to surrender victory. The warrior never claims victory for themselves, but only for others. In the same way, the warrior never gives blame for defeat, but owns it for themselves. The warrior owns defeat, and therefore defeat never owns the warrior. The warrior who lives and dies with honor enters eternity undefeated. The warrior takes complete responsibility while never holding tightly to anything. Ownership is not about possession, it's about responsibility. And if you have taken ownership of your life, you have come to know your own power. And I could have highlighted more, but I didn't. Because, like I said, I didn't want to take up too much time. So today we're going to read about the weight of responsibility. And possibly, seeing how we are on time, we'll read about no-fault policy. I'll say that again because of the car. No-fault policy. So, without further ado, I'm going to start reading. Okay, the weight of responsibility. Jesus once told a story that bears similar circumstances. Speaking of the kingdom of God, he told the story of a master who left 3 of his servants in charge of different portions of his wealth. One servant was given 5 talents, another 2 talents, and another 1 talent. A talent during the days of the Roman Empire was a measure of weight, not a specific value. A talent would weigh about 75 pounds, so you could be entrusted with 75 pounds of gold, or 75 pounds of silver, or 75 pounds of copper. Though the weight would be the same, the value would be dramatically different. After the master had divided his wealth between them, entrusting each of them with an amount that matched his ability, he left on a great journey. During his absence, each servant was left to his own devices to do with the master's wealth as he saw fit. In other words, they were left with endless possibilities. The servants had probably never known such great wealth. Even the one with only 1 talent would have had in his possession a relative value of almost $1.5 million. What would you have done with $1.5 million? Over the course of many years, how would you have invested it? What choices would you have made to optimize the wealth entrusted to you? How would you have increased your master's wealth and exceeded his expectations upon his return? Eventually, there came a day when the master returned to take account of what he had entrusted to his servants. I suppose some of you are familiar with the outcome. The one who had been given 5 talents returned to his master 10. The one who had been entrusted with 2 talents had doubled his account to 4. But the one who had been given 1 talent had made a decision to bury his resources and gave in return to the master only what he had been given to him. The same question comes crashing into my mind when I think about both the man in the garden and the man who buried his talent. Why would you squander such an extraordinarily good opportunity? Through this parable, Jesus provides a perfect example of why ownership is not about taking possession of what's in front of you, but about taking responsibility for what has been entrusted to you. The men who multiplied the master's wealth were not the owners of that wealth, but they did take ownership of it. When the one-talent servant explained to his master why he had buried his talent, we observed the very same pattern as we found with Adam and Eve. Master, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. His knee-jerk response was to blame the master for his lack of courage, initiative, and ambition. He basically said to him, the way you are is the reason I am the way I am. There is a striking contrast between the one-talent servant and his two peers. The other servant lets us know the incredible potential that was available during their master's absence, but the man who buried his talent could not see what he had squandered. When you blame others, you abdicate responsibility for your life. You become powerless to change it. Growing that talent was completely the servant's responsibility, yet he was certain it was the master's fault that he had failed. There is an unexpected relationship between blame and fear. Right after he blamed the master, he continued by explaining, I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. And when you blame others for your failure, you become powerless to change the world around you. You begin to live your life filled with fear, paralyzed by uncertainty, and embittered by a sense of victimization. Fear may cause you to abdicate responsibility, but the abdication of responsibility will most certainly cause you to live in fear. Ownership begins by owning your choices, by taking responsibility for your own life, and by making decisions to stop blaming others and finding someone else to hold at fault. It may seem counterintuitive, but there may be nothing more empowering than taking responsibility for your life. Trusting God is not an abdication of responsibility, it is an embracing of it. The problem began with Adam and Eve. They didn't have the luxury of having parents to blame. They had the perfect environment to which to make the best choices. For the rest of us, it's far more complicated than that. Yet although the world is filled with chaos and turmoil, and making the right choice seems infinitely more complicated now than in the garden, we must not be deterred. We have been entrusted with the power of choice. Those things we would entrust to only God, He has entrusted to us. I read that wrong. Those things we would entrust to, only God has entrusted to us. Okay, that messed me up. Sorry. It is still in our power to create a better world. The fate of humanity's future has been placed in our hands. We must never abdicate responsibility, for with it comes endless possibilities. The future awaits those with the courage to create it. And never forget that when you own defeat, it can never own you. So take ownership of your life, your future, and the world around you, for you can change only what you own. I'm going to stop there, I think. We're going to read about no-fault policy later on tonight. It's just there's lots of distractions around me sitting outside. Good distractions like the birds and the chirping, but there's cars going by and it's kind of loud and I can't control the noise. But I hope that you're all doing well. My son's going to come over tomorrow and we're going to have, I think, ribs on the grill. So it'll be a nice Memorial Day grill out for tomorrow. And just nice and peaceful, relaxing. It's just so nice outside and I love to sit out here. So that's why I came out here, to bring you that book and to show you my bird feeder. So, okay, maybe we'll see one more bird before I let you go. I can hear them. There he is. There they are. Okay, you all. You have a great one, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.